Welcome back to Who Knows, where we dive into the strange, the unexplained, and the stories that make you question reality. Today, we're unraveling a mystery that has left investigators baffled, and witnesses questioning what they saw. It's a tale of an ordinary drive that turned into something far more mysterious, a story that remains unsolved to this day. Sit back, relax, and prepare to enter the unknown. But be warned, this one might leave you with more questions than answers. It all started in a small, quiet town on the outskirts of nowhere. A place where everyone knew each other and life moved at a steady, uneventful pace. Until one night, an ordinary foggy evening in early November, when everything changed. At around 9:30 p.m., a local man named Daniel Harper was driving home from his shift at the nearby factory. He had taken this route dozens of times, a long stretch of road that cut through a dense forest. But that night, Daniel would never make it home. According to police reports, at 9:45 p.m., Daniel's car veered off the road and crashed into a tree at a high speed. When first responders arrived at the scene, they were stunned by what they found, or rather, what they didn't find. Daniel's car was totaled, the front completely crushed against the massive oak tree. Yet, there was no sign of Daniel anywhere. The driver's seat was empty and the door was wide open, as if he had stepped out moments before the crash, but there were no footprints, no signs of a struggle, no clues as to where Daniel might have gone. Where was Daniel Harper? What could have caused him to crash? And why did he leave his car behind in the middle of the forest? These were the questions investigators would grapple with for days to come. But the mystery didn't end there. In the days following the accident, strange witness reports began to surface. One woman, Margaret Clark, claimed she had seen something unusual that very night. Margaret lived just a mile from the crash site and often took her evening walks along the road. She recalled hearing the sound of screeching tires, and when she looked toward the road, she saw something that sent chills down her spine. She described a figure, no, not Daniel, but something else. Standing in the middle of the road was what she could only describe as a shadowy figure, taller than any person, completely motionless, staring in the direction of Daniel's car. Margaret turned to run, but when she looked back moments later, the figure had vanished into the fog. Margaret wasn't the only one. Two other witnesses reported seeing strange lights in the sky above the forest that night, just minutes before the crash. They described the lights as glowing orbs, moving silently and erratically before disappearing into the trees. Despite these eerie accounts, police were no closer to finding out what had happened to Daniel Harper. Investigators combed the forest for days using helicopters and search dogs, but no trace of him was ever found. It was as if Daniel had simply vanished into thin air. Local authorities were stumped, but that didn't stop theories from spreading like wildfire through the town. Some believed that Daniel had gotten lost in the woods, disoriented after the crash, and eventually succumbed to the cold. Others whispered about the possibility of a kidnapping. Someone had been waiting for him, and they took him away without a trace. But the most chilling theory? That something supernatural had occurred that night. Several people in the town were convinced that what Margaret had seen, and what the other witnesses had reported, were signs of something out of this world. Could the lights in the sky have been more than just a coincidence? And what about the shadowy figure? Was it a warning or something more sinister? As the weeks went by, more bizarre incidents occurred near the crash site. Drivers reported feeling a sudden urge to stop their cars on the side of the road, only to find themselves surrounded by thick fog and an overwhelming sense of unease. Some claimed to hear whispers coming from the trees, while others saw flickers of light moving deep within the forest. Despite extensive searches, Daniel Harper was never found, and the official case was closed as unsolved. But for those living in the town, the story was far from over. To this day, people avoid that stretch of road after dark, and the mystery of what really happened to Daniel Harper continues to haunt the community. It's been over a decade since Daniel Harper disappeared, but the questions remain. What caused him to veer off the road that night? Was it simply an accident, or was someone else involved? And what about the strange sightings? The lights in the sky, the shadowy figure, the whispers in the trees, were they mere coincidences, or part of a much larger mystery? Some believe that Daniel's spirit still roams the forest, searching for a way back. Others think the truth lies far beyond what we can understand, but one thing's for sure, there are still more questions than answers. And now, we leave the mystery in your hands. What do you think happened to Daniel Harper that night? Was it a tragic accident, a case of foul play, or something more otherworldly? Let us know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoy mysteries like this one, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Who Knows? For more unsolved cases and strange stories from around the world. Until next time, stay curious and remember, sometimes the answers aren't what they seem.